Yes, we're all here. Hi, Sue. How are you?
Oh, real good.
Good. Tom is here. That's great. Now we can. All right. Good morning, everyone. I call to order the regular open meeting of United Laguna Woods Mutual Board of Directors, California Nonprofit Mutual Benefit Corporation. Today's Tuesday, February 13th, 2024, 9:30 in the morning, and we're in the boardroom of Laguna Woods Community Center. The notice of meeting and agenda have been posted. The purpose of this meeting is to conduct the regular United Mutual Board meeting in accordance with Civil Code 4930, and it was hereby noticed in accordance with Civil Code 4920. At this time, I would like Director Willis to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we have a quorum present. Everyone is here. And I acknowledge the media is on electronically, and I don't see anyone else in the audience who might be here in person from media. Do I have approval of the agenda? Any objections to the agenda as posted? Approved as written. I ask for approval of meeting minutes from January 9th and January 25th, 2024. Is there a motion to approve these as submitted? Okay, in favor? Minutes are approved. This morning I have a couple of things to report to you as from the chair. The recent storms, of course, were pretty dramatic and so welcome indeed. They resulted, though, fortunately for us, in a relatively low rate of leaks or flooding or damage in the community. There was some, of course, and there was some inconvenience. But by and large, we got through it pretty well. And we've gotten regular reports from Manuel Gomez about the conditions in our community, and we're very appreciative of those updates. I would remind everyone who's here or who's listening to please be vigilant, and if you see something, say something. Bring up any situations right away to security or to the resident services so that we can act quickly on any potential problems. A second item on my list is that a letter was recently sent from Steve Hormuth, Pam Jensen, from our financial services area regarding 2023 property tax. And it's a bit complicated issue, and I would urge you, if you have questions about it, to read the letter, reread the letter, and reread it again. Because if you don't speak accounting, it can be a little bit hard to understand. If you still have questions after you've done that in-depth reading and probably conversation with others, please let us know, and we'll see what we can do to answer any specific questions. It's best to write them down, always with specific questions. Write them down so that we understand exactly what it is you're asking about. And of course, there will not be an instant response on a complicated question. It'll take a little time, but you will get answered. A third item on my list is kind of a little acknowledgement of the fact that it seems that in January, at least, our properties picked up in sales. Now, it may be that people are finally adjusting to the interest rate environment and are moving ahead in a normal fashion. Last year was a very low rate of resales in the community. But it seems now in January, if we're looking at statistics for just 1 month, there was an uptick in activity. In 2023, it's interesting to know that the resale value of the resale of units in United was $122.3 million. So there were quite a number of manors sold in spite of the interest rate environment, in spite of all the limitations that we faced. The indications in the January sales show a slight uptick in the average price of a manor sold. So we'll see how that goes. So that's kind of all from me from the chair. At this time, Paul, do we have in our open forum speakers from the floor?
Okay, our first speaker is Mr. John Kieferl.
Thank you. I live at 11A Via Castilla. And this is concerning the conservation or the conserving of energy in our homes. And we always talk about the alternative energy sources, but we never talk about conserving the energy already used to heat and cool our homes. Why do we not have a detailed policy and procedure for residents who would like to insulate their homes? If we do, what is it? If we are, as a community, so concerned about the cost of energy and creating energy, why would we not be concerned with saving the energy we are already using in our homes? Example, there are lots of Cordobas here, flat roofs. We are in the process every year, as I understand, of replacing roofs that are in the age of 20 years. And the contractor who I spoke to before last year, I thought he was using a 1-inch board, but he is using a 1/2-inch insulated board to put on there. I asked him what could you put on there? And he said, I could put as much as a 2-inch insulated board. We're not doing that. We're using a 1/2-inch. Why are we not looking at that? It's a huge difference in our value. I do not know exactly what that is, but going from a 1/2-inch insulated board to 2 inches is a huge difference. I don't know what the additional cost. Labor's not going to really be any different. You're putting it down, you're putting it down. So we should be doing that. And as directors, I think that those are questions that need to be asked. Whether spending money on alternative energy is a good idea can always be debated. But what can't be debated is the money that we have already spent to heat our homes. And the cost of what we've already spent on alternative energy could have gone a long ways to insulate our homes. So as directors, I ask that you take the lead on this and really look into this before we go any farther and find out what can people do. There are lots of homes that have attics above, no insulation. I don't think a lot of people even know that. And what can they do? Who can they go to? How can that be handled through alterations? Those are things that people need to know the steps. So I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
Our next speaker is Chris Collins.
Good morning. Chris Collins, 3306Q, and I'm here to provide an update on the work of the Foundation of Laguna Woods Village that we do on behalf of residents who are experiencing temporary financial crisis. This piece is about managing your digital assets. So you've selected an estate lawyer and thought about the details of your trust, but is that all you need to do? Actually, estate planning is a continuum, an ongoing process that begins when you are alive. While we hesitate to think about it, as we age, we also need to plan for the possibility of incapacity, and we need to think about more than financial assets. Things like, who will manage such things as your social media accounts like Facebook, airplane miles, personal records, many photos, and in other words, many things that are stored digitally on our computer or in the internet if you're physically or mentally unable to. According to Debbie Dotson, the village's very own Talk Tech guru, planning for digital assets upon incapacitation is of paramount importance in today's digital age. As our lives become increasingly intertwined with technology, We must recognize the significance of safeguarding our digital presence and ensuring that our digital assets are properly managed in the event of incapacity, just like we would any other asset, and we need to make that plan. The latest, in December, there were episodes about this particular part of planning for the inevitable, which is handling the digital assets. But if you would like to see this, you can look at the broadcast on your own schedule. It's available on the Foundation's website, which is foundationoflagunawoodsvillage.org, under a special tab. The tab is Planning for the Inevitable. This website section includes YouTube links for this broadcast and all our earlier ones on advanced directives and estate planning. It also has an additional piece of information on managing digital assets. If you have any questions about this topic or the upcoming broadcast, please contact the Foundation at 949-268-2246 or the Foundation at comline.com. And for more information about the Foundation, please go to our website at foundationoflagunawoodsvillage.org. Please note that donations may always be made using PayPal or a credit card on the Foundation website. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay, our next speaker is Dr. Elizabeth Romano.
Hello, I'm Elizabeth Romano from 2035A. I am here to talk about a couple things. One is my concern about the lack of ability for us to utilize the drop-in lounge. And it's been very unfortunate that things have been closed off there. That was done in partial retaliation to complaints about the son of one of the board members who has a significant mental illness who created problems for us. I tried to help her. I wrote up 5150s for the son, and he's been a burden on this community for a long time. And it seems like when we have such a serious problem with depression in the community and in the world, that the development of the drop-in lounge was designed to be the very most important facility of this community, so where we get together. We had a petition signed by 200 people. Actually, we had 400, and we could have had 1,000 of the people who go there and use it. And I would really like to see the board start fresh and say, this is important. We have all these people coming through. Our mental health is important. Okay, I'm a forensic psychologist, and we need to reach out to each other. And besides the drop-in lounge, it's just to say hello to each other, because we're living in some very unfortunate times, and we really need to be there for each other. I'm sorry I wasn't here for the last two meetings. I had successful cancer surgery on my lip. But what's important to me is the follow-up for corporate compliance. I'm the global corporate compliance expert in the country. And I was harassed and retaliated against for speaking up about the problems that this young man created in our area over there at the lounge. And so I was told I need to pay $500 to speak to anybody. I had the director of the head of security come pounding on my door at night telling me to be quiet. I was given this thing if I wanted to talk. I wasn't supposed to show up here. When I did show up to talk, he comes and sits next to me and said, "You're supposed to be quiet." That environment isn't here, but it was, and I was retaliated against. There is no compliance for this. There needs to be. So what's going to happen is to the board members that were there at that time is they're going to receive a small claims court filing. Okay, we have been taken away any right we have to compensate ourselves and have accountability, and this wasn't okay. And there was a lot of suffering here, so I appreciate your support, and also for the mother of Jonathan. Nico, it's a sad position to be in, but we need to return that opportunity to the people that came here for it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Okay, our last speaker is going to be Ann Beltran. She's going to be joining us on via Zoom. Ms. Beltran, if you could go ahead and speak, please.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I want to speak regarding one of the items being handled today. Item 13, I'm not able to stay, so that's why I'm commenting now. It has to do with your action on the Urban Forest Management Plan. First, I want to congratulate the current and past directors who have served on the Landscaping Committee for their excellent leadership that has brought us to this point in time where the board can consider and act favorably upon the Urban Forest Management Plan. This plan will add to our property values for years to come. It will provide a basis for deciding on a landscaping budget that carries out the plan. It's documented now for years to come. There's no argument about what we need to do. And it will provide a real kind of shaping for our landscape budget. And so with the effort and attention that has already been given to it over the past couple of years, I would appreciate the board's support in voting to pass the Urban Forest Management Plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Paul, is there anyone else?
No more speakers at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. Response to forum speakers, anyone on the board? Siobhan?
I just wanted to mention that I will talk with MNC about the insulation question that you raised and the energy conservation concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Ellen?
For Elizabeth Romano, in response to the drop-in lounge is closing because we're remodeling Clubhouse 1. I know there's been some problems with the TV. I don't have all the background, but I just want...
TV's kept on the station here that other board members like and say that's like watching that's like sticking needles in your eyes.
Oh.
That's when they complain. And
Yeah. So,
that is Channel 6.
oh, they do
Okay,
want to...
let's not
put-
engage in
okay.
dialogue
All
back
right,
and forth.
I
Just a reply.
Can I
Ellen,
just
please.
finish?
Thank you.
We do want to just keep it on one station, different days, a different station, so, yeah.
Please,
Okay.
Elizabeth, okay.
Allegation on Channel 6, and it's been that way for a couple of years.
Enough,
Okay.
please.
We'll talk later.
Thank you. Anyone else? Maggie?
You can watch TV at 19.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, response to past forum speakers, Director Liberatore.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, in our last meeting, we had Chris Collins give us an update on the foundation, and we appreciate that all the time. And then, forgive me if I mispronounce it, Barbara Cafaro. She's from 11A, and concerned about her building's laundry rooms. The 3 washers and dryers were not working. And the resolution is M&C Assistant Director reported that 2 of the machines are working and only 1 remains down and is scheduled to be replaced. And Gerald Tilley, 333B, wanted to follow up on a property damage of loss document that he submitted to Damage Restoration. In resolution, the staff took the copy of the document to forward to the appropriate department for follow-up and review. Mr. Tilley was called to get a confirmation that his document was received by the Risk Management Department. Monica Liu, 2103B, she had concerns about questions regarding her property tax. The outcome, the Director of Finance reached out to Mrs. Liu and addressed and answered her questions about her property tax. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, at this time, we'll move to the CEO report. Our VMS board member, I think, is not available. So, Siobhan, you probably can fill us in on that, everything related to VMS.
Thank you, President Bach. Honorable members of the board. This morning, I would like to start with an update from VMS before I roll into the CEO report. And that is to mention that Recently, the members of VMS that consists of the United, Third, and GRF boards of directors recently voted to allow residents to be eligible for full-time employment here in the village. That's a policy change from when VMS was formed. So in the next couple of months, staff will be working with the VMS Board of Directors to establish the personnel policy that will administer that opportunity for our residents. So there'll be more to come about that, but that's an exciting change here in the village.
Yay.
Now I would like to begin my update by sharing information about the assessments in United. If I could have my presentation, please. Thank you. On the slide before you is a chart that we previously shared, and this shows that from 2014 to 2024, a 10-year period, United assessments increased by $106.68, or about 32%. This represents an annual change of 2.3% per year. Combined with the GRF portion of the monthly assessments, the total basic assessment for United increased by $111, or 20.1%. This represents an average annual change of 1.7% per year. For reference, for the time period, that same time period, the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, increased by 35.3%, which represents an annual change of 3.1%. So United assessments rose lower than the CPI, the Consumer Price Index. On the screen before you now is an infographic that was in the Breeze and that we've shared throughout the village, which shows how United monthly assessments are spent, including the $436 collected for United and the $228 collected for GRF common use amenities. This morning, I'd like to share our cost breakdown of various 55-plus communities. This was compiled by Steve Hormuth, our Financial Services Director, and his staff in cooperation with the VMS Board of Directors. What this shows, and this was published in last Friday's What's Up in the Village, so it's available on the Village website under the News tab. What this shows is the average basic assessments, common use amenities offered, total assessments, community locations, home values, and more. And this compares our community with several other 55-plus communities. The data is telling, and it's favorable for Laguna Woods Village. Third and United Mutuals together are by far the largest representation in this survey, with more than 12,425 homes. And when you compare that to the next largest community that is half our size, the total basic assessment for that community is more than twice that of United's and almost twice that of Third Mutual's. Also, please consider the following. Compare Third and United's total and average basic assessments to other communities that are significantly smaller and offer far fewer amenities. The amenities are shown on the next page of the chart. If you want to flip to that, please, Paul. We did a survey of what the other communities offer. Also, please compare the number of homes in each community to put landscaping and maintenance and construction tasking into greater perspective. Also, certain utilities such as trash, water, sewage, and basic cable are included in Third and United's total assessments. So please be sure to thoroughly review the entire comparison chart for more detailed insights. And again, this is available on our website under the News tab. And on the screen before you are some examples of our sister communities and how United and Third compare to these sister communities. Specifically, you'll see that United Mutual has a lower assessment than Leisure World Seal Beach, Rossmore Walnut Creek, and Leisure World Maryland. So again, I want to thank our Financial Services Department for putting this great information together for everyone's purview. I would also like to touch on some important meetings that are coming up. Southern California Edison will present on its income graduated fixed pricing proposal submitted for consideration to the California Public Utilities Commission proceedings to implement recent changes in the state law, which is California Assembly Bill 205, the statutes of 2022. This presentation will be at the Laguna Woods City Council meeting on Wednesday, February 21st at 2 p.m. in the Laguna Woods City Hall. The meeting will be broadcast live on Channel 3 within the village and live streamed on Zoom by the city. The Edison proposal is available on the Edison website at the address listed on the screen before you. And again, this information ran in last Friday's What's Up in the Village if you need to refer to it on the news tab of the village website. Importantly, there's also a local meeting on this with the California Public Utilities Commission. This is the body that actually takes action on the proposed rate increase. This meeting is going to be in Lake Forest on Thursday of this week, Thursday, February 15th at 11 a.m. at the Lake Forest City Hall, which is located at 100 Civic Center Drive in Lake Forest. Interested parties may comment on the proposal and be heard by the CPUC. Laguna Woods Mayor Noel Hatch is expected to speak on behalf of the city about the need for the CPUC to be mindful of the utility rate impacts on older adults, many of whom are on fixed incomes or face other financial challenges. There are other ways to comment on the Edison proposal. You can email comments to the email address shown on the screen before you, or you can mail comments to the CPUC at the mailing address shown on the screen before you. In either format, please reference the proceeding number, which is R2207005. That'll direct the communication to the right place. And also, Director Carlson mentioned that in your recent Edison bill, there was a whole handout on how you can comment on the proposal and other forums that may be available to residents to be heard by Edison. So please refer to that. I would also like to provide a brief update on this Clubhouse One project this morning, please. Renovations, as you know, are beginning in early March, and this is when the clubhouse will close. Nearly 100% of the rental groups have been relocated to alternative venues, and I thank our recreation staff for their very dedicated work to make this happen. Also, bocce and petanque will be able to remain open during construction. Transportation is establishing an alternative transportation hub in the parking lot east of the Village Library and History Center. This allows for the fixed route bus service to continue service without modifying their schedule, which will help with any confusion that might have been caused if the schedule had to change. And parking for the Village Library and History Center visitors will remain as it is. Lastly, for some fun, the 2024 Laguna Woods Art Association exhibit awaits visitors. There are more than 170 works displayed along the community center first and third floor hallways. This includes acrylics, mixed media, oil, watercolors, and so forth. Now through Friday, March 1st, visitors may pick up a ballot from the concierge desk here in the community center and vote for their favorite artwork. And that concludes my presentation this morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that it is a joy, even in this boardroom, to have a change of art and to see some colorful and real naturalistic paintings done by our ever so talented residents. It's wonderful. Okay, moving on next to the consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar are recommended for action by committees and will be enacted by the board by one motion. In the event that an item is removed from the consent calendar by members of the board, such items shall be the subject of further discussion and action by the board. And Maggie, do you want to read the items on consent calendar?
Okay, let's see. A recommendation from the Landscape Committee is B. 1, recommendation to approve the request for the removal of one ficus tree located at 796C Via Los Altos. Number 2, recommendation to deny request to remove one crepe myrtle located at 431A Avenida Sevilla. And recommendation to deny request for the scheduled tree trimming of one sycamore tree located at the common parking stalls at Building 81. A recommendation from the Architectural Control and Standards Committee, they have none. D, approve the review of the United subleasing and transfer of trust documents approved in January 2024. That review is hereby ratified. And a recommendation from the Finance Committee, ratification of the resolution number for the revised purchasing policy. The revised purchasing policy was adopted on 10/23/2023 at a special open meeting of the board. The approved policy was not formally assigned a resolution number in October 2023. The omission of the resolution number assignment is to be ratified at the regular open board meeting held on February 13, 2024 via the consent calendar. The new resolution number will be 012372. Number 2, approve a resolution for recording a lien against member ID number 947-40902. And an F, an update of the committee assignment for United. I move the consent calendar.
Second, please. Second. Mickey, all those in favor?
I would like to open up a discussion before I'd like to move, I don't know how to do this, but item 2 and 3 of recommendations for landscape. I'd like to move those for discussion later, or we could discuss now.
Sue, landscape?
Yes.
What are your concerns, Ellen?
Well, my item number, if you've read the urban forest packet, it states that the crepe myrtle is abundant and needs to be removed. They need to be, that I don't know if the urban forest plan was reviewed for this one, the crepe myrtle, okay? And number 3, the recommendation to deny the request for off-schedule tree trimming, that would have been real simple to approve that.
May I address those, Madam Chair? Well, the committee did deny the removal of one crepe myrtle tree, and the reason was they had looked at it, and the reasons cited are litter and debris affecting walkway conditions for her husband. And she mentioned that he did have Parkinson's. So they went to look at it, and they found the condition of the tree to be in good health with a balanced canopy and no lean. So just because there's litter, we don't take trees down because of that. And so they did go through the entire, they are now using that process. And it says at the top, you can't do it if there's messy or the personal preference is there. So I don't know what else they could have done. I think Tony is.
Director Quam, which item are you talking about?
Madam Chair,
Two?
a point of order.
Ellen, please, Tony has the floor right now.
Are we going to pull these off the consent calendar, or are we going to debate them here?
Yeah,
We're
let's
having a
move.
conversation right now. Ellen has asked a question about these pursuant to a second to the motion. We're in the discussion mode at the moment before we vote on the, so, okay, are you satisfied with that?
No,
reply?
I didn't know what Sue was talking about. Item 2, when you were talking about the litter? Is that, or 3?
Leaves and droppings.
We're on deny removal of one crepe myrtle tree.
Okay, so you were talking about the crepe myrtle.
Right.
11B,
And that was,
page 1 of 2.
Yeah.
11B, page 1 of 2.
and that was denied, and they
Okay.
did use the urban forestry plan. And then.
They did use the urban forestry plan?
Yes, they did, and Kurt is here too, if we need to pull him up.
Okay.
And then on the deny of the scheduled trimming of the one sycamore tree, and Kurt will have better information than I, but what I recall of that is that the tree had been trimmed in recent years, and that they, when the staff went out to look at it, they did not see the issues that the residents had said with the bird droppings and that sort of thing. They had taken pictures of the area and that. So again, we just cannot pull out trees and do that. And so what was recommended is that it's scheduled for next year, and if they choose to go ahead as a group and do a thorough balanced tree trimming, they can do that, but they have to use our contractor.
Right, the
And so that's how that came about.
It was just not taking out a tree, it was cutting a branch.
Well, I think, Kurt, would you come forward and explain this? But we just don't cut branches. You have to trim the entire tree to balance the canopy.
Yeah, let's keep to order, please. Thank you. Kurt, please reply to that. Thank you, Susan.
I don't have the reports in front of me, I just have the variance. What's the one in question? I just walked in, I apologize.
It was,
Building 81,
I can refresh your memory.
it's
a-
11B,
Can I,
page 1 of 2.
Director Blackwell, I'd like to say, I can refresh it. It's about the birds, and the birds pooping on the cars, and it had 20 signatures on it to approve it.
And what is the question?
And it's being recommended to deny it in the consent calendar, and I say we move it until we get more. So I don't really have I say we move this
But
off
I'm
to.
sure.
No, I don't see that this is a large enough issue.
If you listen to Granicus, you will. Yeah.
Kurt, do you have a,
We went out and looked at it, and we didn't see that the sycamore tree was actually overhanging the parking spaces. Whether or not how the birds get their feces on the cars, it was a mystery to us, maybe as they're flying to and from the tree, but the tree did not overhang the parking space. That's why we recommended not approving the off-schedule trimming.
If it overhang the parking space, you would have approved it.
let's
That's just my
not
question.
engage in-
One
in-
question.
in Q&As about this. I think the issue has been answered. We have a motion on the floor. Mickey?
Just procedural question and comment. I mean, this is consent agenda item. If there is any item that want to extract it, that we have to vote whether we want to, extract from it, and then we have to move the rest of it as a consent agenda, and then separately we have a discussion. If the extraction is approved by the board, then we have to discuss separately.
All right. Ellen, are you going to move that item be?
Yes, I want to
Please
move.
make your motion now. and we'll
Move
look
that we
for a
put the
second.
item off until what? For discussion. What?
Say the numbers. Say the numbers.
11B3.
Is there a second to the motion? Speak up. Speak up. Okay. Further discussion? Is there a vote? All those in favor of removing this item from the calendar and deferring it for further research?
Mm-hmm.
4. Those against? Motion does not carry. Let's go back to our original motion. Thank you, Kurt. Of approving the calendar, the consent calendar as submitted. And are we through with discussion of these items? I will move the vote then. Those in favor of approving the consent calendar as submitted? Okay, those against, okay.
electronic voting.
Oh, okay, thank you. And Paul, do we have the vote?
We're still waiting on a couple directors.
Okay.
Give me 1 second.
You can use your finger, Anthony. You don't have to use the tool.
Okay. Are we ready now, Paul?
Director Lee,
Pearl? Have you voted?
you got to tap on the screen.
Oh, on the electronic, yeah, thank you.
Okay. Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Moving on now to item number 12. Entertain a motion to approve revision to Architectural Standard 18, gutters and downspouts. January initial notification, 28-day notification for member review and comments to comply with Civil Code 4360 has been satisfied. And we are ready to read the resolution, Maggie?
Yes, this is 12A, page 15 of 16. It's a pink page. Resolution 0124XX, Standard 18 gutters and downspouts. Whereas the Architectural Control and Standards Committee recognizes the need to amend standards and create new standards as necessary, and whereas the Architectural Control and Standards Committee recognizes the need to revise Alteration Standard 18 gutters and downspouts, now therefore be it resolved February 13th, 2024, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts Standard 18 gutters and downspouts as attached to the official meeting minutes, and resolve further that Resolution 01-1949, adopted June 11th, 2019, is hereby superseded in its entirety and no longer in effect, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution as written. I move this resolution.
Is there a second? Second. Thank you. Okay, discussion? Anything? Okay, are we ready for the vote? Those in favor, please vote yes on the screen. If you're against, no, and if you wish to abstain, do so. Screen voting. All info?
We're just waiting on Director Carlson. Motion passes.
Thank you very much. Moving on to 12B, we will entertain a motion to approve the smoking policy, January initial notification, 28-day notification for member review and comments, comply with Civil Code 4360 has been satisfied. And Madam Secretary, if you will read the resolution, please.
This is item 12B, page 11 of 12, Resolution 0124XX, whereas the Governing Documents Review Committee has recommended amending the smoking policy to fairly and reasonably address smoking in Laguna Woods Village, and now therefore be it resolved on February 13th, 2024, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby approves the revisions to the smoking policy as attached to the official minutes of this meeting, and resolve further that Resolution 01-1726, approved on February 14, 2017, is hereby superseded and canceled, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution as written. I move this resolution.
Second? Video? Second? Okay, discussion of this? Okay, and we are ready to vote on screen. If there's no discussion, please vote.
Director Liberatore? Okay, motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, we are moving on now to new business. And the first item on the new business list is the town halls. Nancy, I understand you had a very successful town hall last Friday, and with good attendance. And the next one is now scheduled for March 8th. And I'd like to get a volunteer to lead that, as well as some suggested topics from you all for that next town hall. It seems like we've got a great report. If we wanted to elaborate on the report that Financial Services did comparing our community costs to those of other communities, that might be a topic that we want to elaborate on in a town hall. So what are your thoughts? Input, please. Ellen?
I'd like to think maybe water, because we went and toured the water recycling plant and how the water is going to be changed and how we purchase our water. Maybe we can get one of the,
El Toro?
yes, El Toro Water District to come and give some type of a speech on that.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Okay. Ellen, would you like to lead that group?
I could try, yeah.
If you would. Okay, Sue, another idea?
For discussion purposes, I think that staff and a number of people have gone to a huge effort to get the financial information pulled together on the establishment of the comparisons of our costs. And I think that would be very beneficial and timely to do it now. I think the water district is very good, but perhaps that could be done in April. And I don't know if the finance committee would want to review this financial information and do a presentation at the town hall. That might be beneficial, but it seems like it's timely to use the material that we just received.
Right.
Okay, who's next, Maggie?
I would like to assist Mickey in this. I have old information as to past reviews, and a review current is also helpful.
Yes, I think it's timely, and I would like to do it with the help of our secretary, particularly timing-wise. March is good for me. In April, I will be not attending the town hall, so maybe next topic, water, could be good subject. So if you are all agreeing, then I would love to do it in March. Finance and all the comparison of our assessment fees, so on, to encourage our, even though we have some, financial, issues.
Nancy?
Yes, my recommendation would be that we combine water and electricity and move it to April as a topic, because we'll have a little bit of information about the SEC, public forums that are going on in March. And I want to underscore what our great CEO did by announcing the SEC opportunities for people to comment. In your February bills, you did get a legal notice, so there's a lot of public forums on the electricity. But I would move that our town hall in April might be on utilities, where we can combine. I think that would have a better draw than, say, water.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else have a comment? Okay, it sounds like we have a plan then. I don't know that we need to vote on it, but it looks like April we do utilities.
I have a question, Nancy. Are you suggesting we should do on the water and electricity? Make
Yes,
it
I
as a
just lumped it
utility?
under utilities, which I
Yes.
consider
Yeah,
water
okay,
and
yeah,
electricity
Sounds
for
good.
the village.
I like that.
Yep, good, okay. All right, so it sounds like in March, we will do community comparison, and with Mickey and Maggie leading that charge, and then April, we'll do utilities with Ellen and Nancy, and whomever else wants to join in on that. By then, we'll have a lot more information about the topic, so thank you, good. Next, we have to entertain a motion to approve the 2024 Inspector of Elections. And, okay, that is item 13B. And let's see, Siobhan, do we have someone to read that background staff report?
Quite generally, we have used Unelect as the Inspector of Election since 2019. We have had very satisfactory service. They are one of the few companies that can handle large-scale elections like we have in our community, which makes them unique. We did go out to bid last year to ensure that we were receiving good pricing, and we received no other proposals because nobody else is suited to handle large elections like in our community. But again, we've been very satisfied with Unelect services and would recommend using them for the upcoming annual elections.
Thank you. Okay.
Resolution 0124XX, approve Inspector of Election Services, whereas Civil Code 5110 requires an association to select an independent third party or parties as an inspector of elections, And whereas in accordance with the Civil Code 5110, 5115, 5120, and 5125, the Inspector of Elections performs several tasks during an election, including but not limited to print and mail voter packages, inspect and tabulate ballots, and certify results. Now therefore be it resolved February 13, 2024, that due to Unelect Corporation's agreement to conform to the criteria established in the specifications as Inspector of Election and its familiarity with the community, the Board of Directors of United Lagoonawans Mutual hereby approves the Unelect Corporation to perform Inspector of Election services for the 2024 election of directors, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are directed on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. I move this resolution.
Second, please. Second. Sue, thank you. Okay, discussion. All right, we can go to the vote then on selecting our Inspector of Election. Please vote on your screens. Are we ready?
Director Liberatore, we're just waiting on your vote. Okay, motion passes.
Thank you.
There we go.
Thank you. Moving on next to the updated bench policy. And we'll look at a motion to approve the updated bench policy. And this will begin the initial 28-day notification process. And let's see, Kurt, is this one you're going to talk to us about, the staff report?
I'll read the resolution first, we'll move it, and then Kurt will talk.
Okay.
As standard.
All right.
Sorry,
Thank you.
Kurt. Resolution 0124XX bench policy. This is just the bench policy for United. GRF has its own bench policy, so let's keep that clear. Whereas Resolution 011234, adopted February 14, 2012, states that the type of bench, color, and model of bench, and whereas the Landscape Committee recognizes it does not address location, placement, adjacent surfaces, or other safety considerations, and now therefore be it resolved February 14, 2024, that the Board of Directors of this corporation introduces the revised bench policy, which gives guidance and direction on the type of bench, color, and model of bench, request procedure, placement, and safety considerations, and resolve further the heritage bench style made of recycled plastic slats in cedar color and a heavy-duty cast aluminum frame, powder-coated in black for all benches. Benches should have the following requirements. Benches should have a seat height of 17 inches to 19 inches above the ground or floor space. Clear, firm, and stable ground space adjacent to benches should be included and should be a minimum of 30 inches by 48 inches. Seat backs should be provided that extend the full length of the seat. Benches should include armrests, and resolve further for benches located on paved walkways, the bench should be placed behind the back of the sidewalk. In locations where this is not possible, there should be at least 4 feet of clear space in front of the bench to allow for pedestrian traffic while someone is seated on a bench, and 30 inches on at least one side to permit a wheelchair to sit aside the bench, and resolve further in unpaved areas such as passive parks and landscape areas, benches shall be placed where there is clear access to the bench on unobstructed, weather-resistant, firm and stable ground from a paved walkway. If there is more than one bench in a given area, at least one should be accessible by wheelchairs. And resolved further, seating areas should be shaded if possible, and benches should be anchored to prevent unauthorized movement or threat. And resolved further, no benches can be donated as memorial, and no plaque may be placed on them. And resolved further, requests for benches, whether to be funded by the mutual or by donation, shall be accomplished through the landscape request form process. As with other requests, staff would meet with the requester, ascertain the need and possible locations, and prepare a recommendation for consideration by the Landscape Committee. And resolve further that Resolution 01-1234, adopted February 14, 2012, is hereby superseded and canceled. And resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move this resolution.
Is there a second? A second, please.
I have a question.
There is a second. We need a second,
Need a
please.
second for.
Thank you. Thank you. Discussion? Georgiana?
Yes. I noticed in reading this that we're looking at recycled plastic. And I noticed for the Friendship Walk, the benches are going to have oak slats. So I was just curious, was there a price difference that impacted going with one versus the other, and the longevity of the oak bench, since I would think it would be more comfortable. Recycled plastic slats might be rather hot on a hot day, but I don't know. I don't make benches.
Okay.
So I
I'm sure
just have
Kurt
questions
can
related to that.
answer that.
Also, yeah, how long it will last, because I would think the oak would last longer.
Kurt, do you want to reply to that? Tony, I see you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. While I have no disagreement with the style and how the bench is constructed, what material we use, I don't have a problem with that. This resolution does not deal with the issue that the board was confronted with by residents, and that is the criteria or policy that would give guidance on where to place benches. And in this regard, the motion is dilatory since it does not address what residents need and want to know. And so I'd like to make the move to send this back to staff, and so they can put something in here on a real policy on where the benches are to be placed, because that's what this board was asked at the last meeting. That's all I have.
Okay. At this time, Nancy?
Is there a second?
Okay, is there a second to Tony's motion? We have two motions on the floor now.
Second.
Second, so Nancy second? Okay.
second it.
And Nancy, you have something else?
Yeah, in essence, I was going to say what Tony said, what was brought to us was the issue of location, and I really think that's the underlying matter. I don't think we are opposed to benches. It's a matter of where they should go, some general
Got it.
policy about that. And I think that, Kurt, the right people, not me, the right people should advise us on that. And the second thing I would say is I don't really want to see us in a resolution prepared where the item says benches should include armrests. I don't know that that's essential. It's a may include. It could be a matter of location, economics too. Some may be less expensive. I don't think that's a mandatory. So let's not be too restrictive on that when it comes back to us.
Sue?
If I may, Kurt can answer the questions about why the armrest, I think it is it's required now for ADA, but I wanted to speak to the fact of why this was done. This came to our landscape committee, and there were individuals who came from a community that wanted us to put in a bench for them. And at that time, we told them that we would look at the policy and see what we could do for them. We knew it was going to be part of a bigger issue. This was like, in my mind, this was step one to figure out what the benches should look like. And then the funding and everything that Allison is leading would be like step 2, 3, 4, whatever. So, Kurt, would you please respond to this? I would appreciate it.
Gladly. The first question from Director Willis is the reason why there's two different ones is the Friendship Walk was a month before the bench policy. The Friendship Walk one was replacing ones in kind that were put there by a landscape architect. So should you approve this policy, it would supersede the Friendship Walk ones, and we would replace those with the same as these. The entire industry is moving away from wood products and going to the recycled plastic. It feels, looks, et cetera, everything just like wood, but has a much longer lifespan on it. So that's, plus it's environmentally friendly. We're not cutting down trees to do it. We're using recycled plastic to do it.
So I'm not going to get second-degree burns if I sit down on it.
Any
on
bench
summer
that's
day.
sitting out in the sun is going to be hot, regardless. Granted, metal would be hotter. It's one of the reasons why we didn't go with the metal benches. But yeah, you're not going to really notice the difference between the recycled plastic and the wood. As far as appearance and everything, they look about the same.
Thank you.
Kurt, can you reply to Tony's comment
Yes.
about location, Nancy's?
We have only received a handful of requests over the last couple of years, and up until this policy, they kind of went into no man's land.
Yeah.
Benches weren't assigned to any particular committee or any particular group, so I've volunteered to sort of take this on because most of the ones that would go out there would go in the landscaping. So that's why it's with me. And I think Director Liberatore has a good point, but I think we should take a look at, I would recommend going forward with this so we can move forward with some of the requests we get. An overall broader policy of where we should put them, I think is going to take some time, and we could look at several requests and see what people are generally looking for, what it would take some resident input, what they want as far as benches. I know there's been talk about putting them along the walkways where they aren't already, et cetera. But I think that's a much broader policy. I think this is a good start. And as far as the armrests go, that's recommended. There's no ADA requirements for outdoor benches, but the U.S. Access Board, which is sort of a subcommittee to ADA, they come up with the policies that ADA passes. They recommend them for people that are having difficulty with walking, moving as a step down, to sort of put a hand on the armrest to get down to the bench and back up from the bench. That's why their armrests are on. And if we have a group such as a passive park, only one has to meet that requirement.
Okay. Other questions? Ellen, did you have one?
Yes, I wanted to address the fact that no benches can be donated as a memorial. I thought we discussed that we would allow somebody to maybe purchase one, so maybe this can be not on the resolution and we can discuss it. Yeah.
There's a current policy not allowing memorials in United.
Right.
So this just follows that current policy.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Policies.
Yes, Nikki?
It's just procedural question again. I mean, supposedly one motion on the floor,
Right.
and I don't know which motion we're talking about. You know, we cannot discuss two motions at the same time.
Okay.
So I'm just curious about what is the motion and what are we discussing? Are we approving this motion or deny it? You know, or
Right.
if anything else, then we can come later on amend the motion or so. Just
Okay,
we have to
right.
clear.
Thank you. We're right now in the amendment to the main motion.
Okay, then we have to approve or vote whether
Yes.
amendment
Yes.
will be allowed or not.
What was the amendment?
The amendment was to determine locations of benches. Is that correct, Director
My
Liberatore?
motion was to send it back, to refer back to staff, to add on a policy that would tell us where and how benches would be placed, because that's what we were asked for in our.
Okay, and that was seconded. Okay, and that's what we were discussing, whether we send this back to committee, the entirety, right? The entirety of the motion back to committee.
I'd like to speak on the amendment.
Please.
Okay. The landscape request form is the form which will be used. That requires other residents' signatures. That requires placement. It requires the person to state that they want a bench here because, and then the other residents do it. That is included in here on the 1, 2, 3, 4, at the bottom of page 11 of 12 of 13C. That is the landscape request form, and I think most of us know what that looks like. It does have things for other residents' approval and requests, it does show, it would require them to state where it would be and why. And so, and the resolution itself states that it would be preferable to have it in the shade if possible, but if the residents want it over here and it's not in the shade, they can put it over there for whatever reasons. But the resident input is in the essential form that they have to fill out when they request it. Thank you.
Thank you. Does that clarify things, Tony?
No, it doesn't, Madam Chair, because what we want to do, people want a policy so that if there is a policy, they can know how and when or where to apply to place a bench and not waste staff time going through a bunch of paperwork. So the whole point that people were asking us for is some kind of policy that they could read that would say, oh, no, this doesn't qualify. We have to do this if we want a bench. Filling out forms is going to make more paperwork and more problem. That's all I have.
Thank you. Anything more? Ellen?
Is this going to be applicable to the benches that need to be replaced on the Friendship Walk? The last one that needed to be replaced, they just picked it up and took it away. So it's -2 benches. So I don't see anything here regarding replacement benches.
We're talking about the amendment.
Yeah, we are still on the amendment, location of benches, location. Sue?
I would speak against this. I understand exactly what, anyway, I think I understand, I shouldn't say exactly, what Tony is getting at. He wants a broader policy. I understand that. But in the interim, right now, we're just trying to accommodate the individuals who are coming before us so that we have a standard policy on what to purchase and what the placement should be. My concern is that I want funding for this. I don't want it to come entirely out of landscaping. So this was just our first step. And I don't know how far they are in going in the bench group that is trying to find the means to purchase more benches. So we didn't want to slow that process down, but we'd like to get this at least some clarity as to what we should purchase and the reasons why. So I would speak against it.
Maggie?
I speak against the amendment because it means we have to designate all the places in the village in United where we could have a bench and where we could not have a bench. Does it have to be 50 feet from a street? Does it have to be under a large shaded tree? We cannot be that specific. There are literally thousands of places where benches could be placed, and we certainly don't want a limiting amendment which causes people unable to get a bench where they dearly want one and where it would be reasonable to have one. So I think we should leave it the way it is, get the resident input and the staff input as to whether or not a bench is feasible there. If it's right next door to something else, they won't put it there. So I am against the amendment. Thank you.
Paul, we have someone?
Yeah, Director Tuning has his hand up.
Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you. I'd like to offer a second order amendment, if I could. And that would be to approve the original motion with the Tony's amendment, but approving instead of sending it back to committee, but directing staff to look at updating the policy to include the placement of benches. So the second order amendment would be to approve the amendment with the directive to staff to update for location.
Okay, Tony, do you wish to withdraw your
Is there a
amendment?
second to that?
No, Madam, I feel that I have to pay attention to what the residents asked us to do at that meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, and sorry, I failed to ask for a second to Tom's motion. Is there a
So
second? to-
procedurally, then we need to, I previous question
Right.
about amendment. So
Right.
now we need to vote whether
Yes,
we
we
want to
do.
accept amendment or not.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
point of order, yeah.
All right, we will now take a vote on the suggestion or the amendment made by Director Liberatore to delay the placement question until further study. So are we ready to vote? We'll go ahead and vote online.
One question, we're voting on Tony's?
Tony's.
Yeah.
We are voting on Tony's amendment. Paul?
That did? Is it up there?
Okay, the motion failed.
Okay, motion failed. Let's go back and we'll now vote on the original motion to approve the resolution as read and stated and seconded. We will now vote on the main motion.
That would be no. I don't need to tell you how to vote. It's all right. You got it.
I did.
Okay.
All
Director
in?
Kale? Okay, motion passes.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on to item D. We will entertain a motion to approve the urban forest management plan.
This is item 13D. Item 13D, page 7 of 8, pink page. Resolution 0124XX, Urban Forest Management Plan. Whereas pursuant to the governing documents of United Mutual, the Board of Directors is responsible for the management and upkeep of the common areas within, including the landscaping and trees. And whereas United Mutual has over 18,585 trees with 236 different species, each having different growth rates, water needs, and differing sizes. And whereas the Mutual adopted Resolution 011317, 5-year species-based tree trimming policy, as the most efficient manner in which to maintain the Mutual's tree inventory and resources, and whereas tree trimming is just one piece of an efficient long-term maintenance plan of the Mutual tree inventory, and whereas an effective urban forest management plan takes into consideration the condition of the inventory, contains an efficient replanting plan to maintain the inventory, as well as adapting to changes in the environment and the forecasted long-term drought conditions. And whereas the United Mutual Urban Forest Management Plan is a long-term management plan tool that enables the board and staff to make effective decisions that will maintain and enhance the beauty and safety of the tree inventory. And now, therefore, be it resolved, effective February 13, 2024, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby enacts the United Mutual Urban Forest Management Plan attached to this resolution, reserved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. I move this resolution.
Second, please? Is there a second? Thank you, Sue. Okay. And at this point, is there a discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair, I have a discussion. I really don't understand what this will cost us, because I know we paid for the opinion, the $50,000, but I'm seeing $184,000 for tree maintenance. In addition, we have another tree maintenance company, Great Scott, and so I'd like to know actually the financial background on this. I never got it.
Kurt, do you want to come forward?
Hello again. As far as the question from Director Leonard, there are no additional costs over what you are already paying for tree maintenance to go along with this. This is a plan that will help us manage the urban forest over time. We have, as the resolution says, we have a 5-year plan, which is revolving, but this goes even further. It tells us when and where to plant new trees. There's been a lot of talk within the mutual about infrastructure conflicts, when and where to take out trees, when and where to put them back. So this clearly defines that for everybody, so that it's not nebulous anymore. It's on paper. It explains clearly. If you look at the appendixes, they make it very clear for even the layman to understand on what tree qualifies for removal and what trees don't. So there are no specific costs that go along with this.
Okay.
Thank you.
May I?
You have a
Okay.
follow-up? One
Is it just a policy, basically?
Pretty
It's
much.
not a person that?
Yes, it's a call it more of a guide than a policy.
Okay.
Yeah, it establishes policy. It basically enforces the policies we already have. It builds upon them, but it is not anything new, really.
Okay, no extra money except for
The only extra cost I foresee is this calls for planting more trees than we currently plant.
Okay.
But we could maintain that within the current budget.
Thank you.
Sue, you had something? Did you have something? Or no? Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to thank Kurt and the Dudek company that was hired, and I'd like to commend the United Ad Hoc Committee that was formed, and they really worked hard on this. It was former Director Diane Casey, who was the landscape director at that time, and also the ad hoc members were Cheryl Nielsen, Mary Sinclair, Ken Benson, Jack Salvador, Carl Randazzo, and Dr. Robert Reyes. They really spent a significant amount of time, and many of the committee members know, but for the people that are watching this, there was a controversy on the Canary Island pines several years ago. This was an effort to get an ad hoc committee to address those concerns and to establish a good plan for maintaining and keeping our beautiful forest area. So they've spent a significant amount of time, and everyone has commended the report, and I thank you for the time you put in it.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, are we ready to call the vote on this?
No, I just was wondering.
Georgiana, did you have something?
Yeah, I was just wondering, because some ground cover has already been removed in different places. Does this call for more removal of ground cover?
No, it does not. Actually, it encourages planting under trees.
I'm not talking about just trees. I'm talking about things like grass and stuff like that.
That's not the subject right
Okay,
now,
all right.
Georgiana. We're talking about approving the urban forest management plan. Thank you. We're ready to call the vote? Please vote on screen. Thank you. We have one more. Okay. One of the most interesting numbers that came out of the Dudek study was the
Tony?
fact that
Thank you.
the value of our urban forest in United, just in United, was over $71 million. So when you talk about the assets in this community, tack on $71 million, which it might cost if every tree was to be replaced by a tree just like it. So that's a tremendous asset in our community. Thank you. Moving on to item E, entertain a motion to approve the revision to resale inspection fees. Maggie?
Yes, this is 13E, page 9 of 10. Resolution 0124XX, revised resale inspection fees. Whereas resale inspections are utilized to identify any damages and modifications to the property for which the selling party may be financially responsible. as well as identify any necessary repairs and/or replacements that may be the mutual's financial responsibility. And whereas a recent cost analysis revealed that a portion of the costs associated with the resale inspection process is not recovered from the requesting member, and an increase in the fee would serve to recover more of the administrative costs associated with the transactions. Now, therefore, be it resolved March 12, 2024, the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby revises the resale inspection fees as follows. First inspection, $353. Re-inspection, if required, $57. Final inspection, if required, $103. Resolve further that each charge will be billed separately, and resolve further that when a progress inspection is requested or when a request for a final inspection fails, the member will be charged a re-inspection fee. And resolve further, no fee will be charged for final inspection if after the first inspection it is determined that there are no corrections for the member to complete prior to the close of escrow. And resolve further that the first inspection portion of the fees will be billed as a chargeable service to the seller upon completion of the first inspection, and the re-inspection and final inspection portion of the fee will be collected through escrow upon closing. And resolve further, Resolution 010816, adopted January 8th of 2008, is hereby superseded and canceled, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. I move this resolution.
Second, please. The second? Nikki, thank you. Okay. And Bart, do you have a report?
Thank you, Madam President. Members of the board, it has been 16 years since the reinspection fees have been updated. Staff was asked to review the current charges and the services that we provide and see if the charges that are currently being charged recover the expense that is incurred. Staff reviewed the most recent resale inspections that performed, tabulated the time that we spend on average for each one of those for the services that we provide, and came up with a table that you see attached. We provide as much information so that you can see where the time is spent. We have updated the rates to the current billable rates that we have, and we propose that in order to recover the time and the expense that we incur, that the first inspection be set at $353. We have introduced a new fee for a reinspection. We found that there have been a few times when members ask for a final inspection, but the corrections have not been completed, and we have to return with a final inspection after that. This hopefully will prevent that from happening, but if it does, or if the member wishes to have a progress inspection, this is available to them. We have also made it clarified that if a final inspection is not required, that they will not be charged for that. And that circumstance is when, upon completion of the first inspection, it is determined that there are no corrections, then a final inspection is not needed. And now we make it clear to them, that to the members, that they will not incur that expense. So with that, I'm available to answer any questions that you may have.
Questions? Nancy, you have one?
I actually have a discussion item.
Okay, go ahead.
I want to say, working on governing documents in the member hearings and also the resale packages, I want to endorse the fee increase that they're proposing. It's been, as you said, 16 years, since 2008. And there's an important factor that ties all this together. When we issue a resale package, and a property is engaged in an escrow or transaction, with certain language that we use and certain events that take place. There's a first inspection, then there is a notice of corrections to things, and then there's a final inspection. Now, pursuant to the resolution, I would make a recommendation, which is basically technically a motion to amend it with some corrected words so that it ties into the language that we use in our resale package and our bylaws in describing this process. And that would be, on the first sentence, whereas resale inspections are utilized to identify any damages, and I would insert alterations or modifications to the property. And this is a motion. And I would add the word in the third sentence, as well as identify any necessary repairs and/or corrections and/or replacements. It comes up when.
Okay.
Now, this is important also because when we do hearings, the first thing that comes up is we always refer people back to the escrow packages. So I'm supporting this fee increase because we are 60 years into this, and in every transaction, it's becoming more and more important to pinpoint the alterations, the modifications. And modification would be the addition of a patio room. An alteration would be putting a new kitchen in, that sort of thing. So these little minor things come up, and this resolution, as amended, I think satisfies that which we need.
Is there a second to Nancy's motion?
I would like to ask Bart if there is.
Yes, there's a second. Is there a second, Ellen? Yes. Ellen is second.
Okay.
Go ahead, Maggie.
So you wish to say, as well as identify any necessary repairs, corrections, and/or replacements. Is that correct?
Correct, because the escrow papers say first inspection, and they give you corrections notice, and that's the word they use. And then there's a final inspection.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Ellen?
Madam President. I would like to, I think we had this discussion before, Bart, about what is the current first inspection fee? What is the current one?
I can answer that. It's 150.
So it's being increased.
First inspection fee is
Was 150.
$90, and the final inspection is $60.
So we never had the reinspection fee?
No.
No? Okay, okay. I just think the reinspection fee could be higher. I don't know how the 57 came up. Is that?
We feel that is a more simpler inspection where you go to the manner you determine that the corrections have not been completed, and you return to the office to make a note that is not complete.
Okay. I think it costs $50 just to start your car up. Okay.
Thank you.
I think it should be increased, but
So question, are we approving the amendment or not?
Well, we're still in discussion on the amendment at this point. Anything, Sue, do you have a further discussion on the amendment of Nancy's change in languages?
Yes, I'm sorry, I can't follow it. If I had it in writing, perhaps I could understand it better, but I'd like Bart to, if Bart was able to follow it, what are your thoughts on this? Perhaps give him the paper that you have written out so that he can.
Shall I read it the way
It's,
the amendment?
Yes, please
Okay.
read it, Nancy.
First paragraph, whereas resale inspections are utilized to identify any damages and/or alterations and/or modifications to the property for which the selling party may be financially responsible, as well as identify any necessary repairs and/or corrections and/or replacements that may be the mutual's financial responsibility.
And Madam Chair,
Actually,
those revisions.
I think that's technically not right. It could be either the mutual's responsibility or the seller's. So that should be stricken. That may be the responsibility. It shouldn't be
It
just the
uses the
mutual's.
conditional tense may,
Yeah,
may.
maybe, correct. I'm a little
Mhm.
uncomfortable with it, but technically, legally, you're correct.
Bart, do you have?
Yes, just wanted to say that the revisions that Director Carlson read do align with the reports that we prepare, so we support
Yes.
those changes as well.
Yes, I agree. Okay.
Shall we vote on the
Yes,
amendment?
let's take a vote on this amendment to change the languages to conform the few words that Nancy is proposing to add, that has been seconded into this first paragraph, as Bart mentions, and we have heard, now aligns with other language and other documents that are part of the escrow process. Does everybody understand what we're okay? Sue?
I just want to make sure that we're keeping the word may.
May.
Yes, for sure,
Absolutely,
for sure.
may.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, thank you.
Okay, vote please. Okay. Thank you. And do we need to go back and vote on the main motion? Nancy?
Yeah, I think we might have just a
Wait a
brief
minute.
discussion
So-
if
sorry,
are we
we're not
satisfied with the
voting
fee
yet.
structure.
We're still missing Director Carlson, Director Liberatore, and
I think our machines aren't working. We're both having problems with that.
Just hit it with your finger.
We both have to keep doing
Okay,
it.
Maggie, please.
okay,
Go ahead.
motion passes.
I think you're
Okay. All right, now we can vote on the main motion. As amended, thank you. Okay.
Can I comment?
Are we ready? Mickey?
Yeah, I am for the motion because as a financial chair, I mean, it's timely that we have unfavorable position for this year from the previous budget process. So any dollar amount will be helpful. And, it will increase about $80,000 revenue on our books. So I am strongly recommending, Finance Committee already endorsed this recommendation. So I am urging for us to vote yes.
Thank you. Nancy, anything more?
Mickey, you're going to love this. I would like us to discuss for a minute the fees itself. I endorse them. I actually think we can inch them up a bit. I think we could round these numbers out, no less. I know, not personally, that I do the inspections, but I read these inspection reports in detail. I'm an adjudicator of these member hearings where we're discussing all the things that go wrong. These inspection reports take a lot of time. And so I do not want to be miserly about the time it takes staff to do this. The fees are justified. These are 60-year-old buildings. A lot has transpired. These aren't new builds anymore.
Right,
And a
of
lot
course,
of additions and a lot of corrections. So I don't have a specific proposal number, but I really think we could make it like 360, 60, and 110.
Well, let's vote
So
on
let's
the
just, can we
motion that
discuss
we
that?
have.
So that's my motion, is that we look at the fees.
Is there a second to Nancy's motion? To Ellen? Okay. Sue? Discussion?
I would like to discuss that, and I'd like to speak to it from the side of a resident. I think it's very fair to say that the costs have to be covered of the staff time to come out and take a look at this and to try to, figure out if I've done things appropriately, either for the buyer or the seller, no matter if you're selling something or if you're trying to alter your manner. And that was the charge to staff. And staff came back and said, this is the dollar amount that was needed to cover those costs. So I just think that we should be cognizant of the fact that we should come forward more often with this, not wait 16 years to come forward for the increase. But I do want to keep it to what it covers our costs, and to think about the individuals that are paying for this.
Okay. Ellen?
The increase that Nancy is suggesting is $7. $7 on one, $3 on the other, and $7 on the other. So, and just to evening it out.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay. Nancy, one more?
Yes, I'm going to underscore, seeing the reports and reading them, which isn't what the rest of the board typically does. It's those of us that see this. There is a lot of work in it, and I see a lot more coming. It really is time-consuming. I actually think the staff was generous in calculating the time that they spend on this.
Paul?
I'm sorry, can you repeat your motion again for me, please?
Okay, technically speaking, my motion is to modify the fees to first inspection 360, re-inspection 60, and final inspection at 110.
Oh, that's nothing, okay.
Okay.
The final inspection what?
110. Maggie?
I believe the law says we can recoup our costs. And so our costs are 353, 57, and 103, or the estimated time for our costs is that, even or not. I would be more comfortable if we stayed with the predicted, with the suggested cost, because that is the result of hours of time calculations and so on. And we don't just want to bill the members $10 extra because they won't care. It's thousands of dollars and all of those reasons. Let's be kind to them. We can recover our costs. And so these are our costs. I suggest we stay at this number. Thank you.
Okay, we're ready to call the vote then? All right. We will call the vote on the amendment to increase fees, round them up essentially, round them up or down to whole numbers, moving 353 to 360, 57 down, $7 to 50, and final inspection up to 110 from 103. That is the amendment on the floor. Please vote. Okay.
Okay, you swayed me.
Motion passes 8-3.
Motion passes. All right, let's go back and then vote on the resolution, the original motion on the resolution. Or was there a second amendment that we were still dickering over?
No.
The language. We passed that. Okay. Going forward then to the original resolution. We ready to call the vote on that? Please do vote online. Okay. And Paul, we have everybody? One more. One more.
Do you want me to plug it in for you? Is that a yes? I can do that. Okay. Okay. Motion passes.
And let's not wait 16 years to look at this.
Yeah.
I don't want to calculate how much revenue we've lost over those 16 years.
I thank everybody on behalf of the staff time.
Thank you. Yes, it was very good work done and very interesting report. And we're moving on now to item F. Entertain a motion to approve supplemental appropriation to replace benches on Friendship Walk. Okay, bench day it is. Maggie, if you will.
Resolution 0124XX, replacement of benches at Friendship Walk. Whereas February 14, 2012, the Board of Directors approved the installation of 7 heritage-style benches along Friendship Walk at an estimated cost of $5,250 from the replacement fund. And whereas due to the materials of the benches being recycled plastic and green aluminum, they have begun decaying over time. And whereas the rust and decay pose a threat to the structural integrity of the current benches, now therefore be it resolved February 13, 2024, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby agrees to replace the 7 benches with oak Iron Valley slatted benches purchased from Kings River Casting, Inc., in the amount of $8,661 from the Reserve Fund, and to be installed by the General Services Department. And resolve further that Resolution 011248 is hereby canceled and replaced by this resolution. And resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move this resolution.
Second? Is there a second? Thank you, Vicki. Okay. And discussion.
Discussion.
Report from staff? Ellen?
So let me understand it. So 5,250 is to put the benches in? What? Or what is?
That was the original cost.
Oh, so it's amended then?
No, that was the original cost when they were first installed.
Okay, all right. And the new installation is 8661?
For the new bench, yes. May I offer an amendment of the
Okay.
resolution?
Yeah, sure.
That the
That's
now
fine.
therefore be it resolved to include wording that these benches should adhere to the new bench policy.
Yes.
Like I said, this was a month behind because it had
Right.
to go to the finance committee first.
Right.
So
Mhm.
I would suggest that.
And what would the price difference be, if any?
I think we would save a couple $100 on each bench.
Okay, by
The-
going
the-
to the new bench style
the
that we
new-
just
the-
approved 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, the new bench style is available from several vendors, so we can get bids. This particular
Great.
one is a specialist vendor.
Okay. Maggie?
I move that we amend the motion to require the replacement to meet the revised bench policy, the new bench policy.
And the amount not to
Yes.
exceed.
Yes, in the amount not to exceed $8,661. This is the bench policy, which is item 13C.
Okay. Second to that amendment. Second to that amendment. Sue? Okay. Thank you. Discussion of that amendment. Now that we're going to adhere to the new bench policy. Ellen, a question?
Okay, I wanted to know where the benches, going to take out the old benches where they're at, or are we going to replace the ones that have already been taken out? I think it's two.
Both. There's some that were taken out because they were unsafe. There are some still there that are in bad condition, so all 7 of them will be replaced.
Okay, thank you.
Mickey?
Yeah, just a comment to the amendment. Finance Committee met on January 30th, and we endorsed that amount, $8,661.
Yes, thank you. Okay. Paul?
Director Tuning has his hands up.
Tom?
Yes, the new bench policy's on 28-day review. So are you waiting until that policy is approved to do this? Or are you saying that this is amended to go with the unapproved bench policy?
There's a 6 to 8 week lead time on the benches, so we could wait the 28 days to actually order them.
Okay. Understood. We ready to vote, Sue?
I hope we don't do that.
Yeah.
The people really want these benches, and I hope we go forward and
Right.
with this.
Okay, let's vote on the amendment then, please. Okay, looks unanimous, and we will now vote on the main motion. Replace benches on Friendship Walk. Please vote. And, okay, very good, unanimous, thank you very much. And now we are at the last item under new business, and Francis is here from the membership disciplinary report. This is a receive and file report, and it's very interesting for us all to review what has been going on in United over the last couple of months to see what sort of problems people are causing for themselves and their neighbors, sometimes inadvertently and sometimes deliberately. So, Francis, how's it going?
Good, thank you, Madam President. So before you is the disciplinary update report. It's agenda item 13G. The breakdown or the table that's included in your report is the breakdown of disciplinary cases that the Compliance Division has dealt with for the months of November 2023 to last month, January 2024. And then the noteworthy items that I want to bring to your attention is that alteration standards has decreased, so has the overall clutter cases that we have, and then the illegal occupancy cases have decreased as well. So that concludes my report in a nutshell, so I'm available for the board if you have any specific questions.
We're certainly a well-behaved group, aren't we? When you think of the fact that there are 9,000 people or more living in United, you know,
Yes.
and lots of visitors in and out all the time, and workmen, and so on. The fact that we have roughly 300 a month of these. Pearl?
Hi, my question is on the delinquencies. Now, is that the delinquent on paying fine penalties, or what is it?
It's assessments and chargeable services.
Oh, the assessment as well. Okay.
Yes, so it's a combination of both.
Okay.
Thank you. That's a good one. Ellen?
Yes, on the delinquencies, what is the average delinquency? 30 days for it to be on here, or 60, or?
No, so the delinquency cases that the Compliance Division deals with are the ones that are included in your delinquent report that you received at the GRF Finance Committee.
Okay.
So every month, the GRF Finance Committee reviews your delinquency report. That report is what triggers the Compliance Division to start, to open a disciplinary case against that member and go through the process.
But this is not United delinquency?
It
I
is,
mean,
it's only for United.
Oh, this is
This
only.
one, yes, it's only for United. And then there is a threshold that the Finance Committee has requested staff, and that's when those members go on your report, and that's when it gets triggered to the Compliance Division.
So we have, for the month of January, 32 delinquencies, you know, so many days, how many, 30 to 90? I'm just curious, how many are delinquent, like 90 days, or?
That's not information that we would have on the compliance
Okay.
side of it. That would be information for the Financial Services Department, because I don't know the specifics of those thresholds. What this number is, that there's 32 cases that were escalated to the Compliance Division for further action in hopes to recoup or get the member to pay and settle their accounts.
Okay, anything else from anyone? Thank you very much, Francis.
Thank you.
We will continue to be well-behaved, I do hope.
Thank
Okay, do we need a 5-minute break before we start committee reports, or do we
Yeah,
want 4, John?
let's do that.
Break. 5 minutes? Okay, let's take 5. Thank you. All right, let's resume our meeting. We've got almost a full house, and Georgiana will be back, I'm sure, shortly. Director's comments would be our next agenda item, and we can start around the horseshoe. Anthony?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to ask Mr. Mejia, if he's still here, there was supposed to be a balcony inspection at my manor this week, and as you know, it was raining cats and dogs.
Yeah.
And I didn't see anybody, so I'd like to get an update on that process if I could. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll start director's comments around the horseshoe then. Nikki, do you want to start?
Oh, yeah, we're having a lot of financial issues around because it's a busy season. And I like to thank to all the staff, and they're working very hard, fees and so on. And then my suggestion is that a lot of things to be done, numbers and so on. We need to look at the big forest, not just focus on the trees, So it just whole process is a big picture, and from there, how we improve our situation, what could be the issues, and so on. So, just we need to work hard.
Thank you, Maggie.
It's been a day of amendments and amendments, and I think we did almost all of them, and possibly all of them correctly. So that was congratulations to the team. The amendments were brought forward, discussed, an amendment was made to the amendment, and so on, and we did them all in the right order, and kudos to everybody, because we tried real hard. Thank you.
Sue?
You saw all the hard work that was done by some of the committees that I serve on. The Landscape Committee, it's just wonderful that we got the Urban Forest Management Plan pulled together. And again, it's just amazing that people can have an issue, come forward, and we can work cooperatively together and develop something that benefits the whole community. So I'm very appreciative of that, and for all of the members and the ad hoc committee members that gave their time. And in particular, a shout out to Kurt Weeman and to Bob, who is the arborist who was serving at that time, and I'm so sorry I forgot his last name. He's retired, I think, but he was very, very proud of the fact that we were able to do this, and it's a model for other communities.
Marquette, yeah. Pearl, anything?
Well, I think this morning, the thing that stands out the most is about the trees and benches and urban forest. I hope that those who love our landscape watch this meeting and appreciate all the effort that we're putting in. And also, additionally, I'd like to thank Nancy Carson for suggesting that we make changes on some of the fees that we're charging. Although it's not although it seems like a minor changes, some of you might be affected by it, but it is our best effort to increase our revenue to fight against the cost problem. So I hope that you understand, and it is reasonable, although we have raised. We try to stay within our budget. I know that your financial problem is our financial problem, so I want you to know that we try to make it as reasonable as possible and put our honest effort forward. Thank you.
Vidya? Anything?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I'm kind of impressed with the way this meeting has gone so smoothly, with things actually getting done and without getting into big contentious fights. And that's all I have to say, really.
Oh. Anthony?
Oh, I said my piece.
You said your piece. Nancy?
Yeah, I just want all the people in the viewing audience, although we can't see you, we know you're there. The meat and potatoes of the operations is at the committee level. So it's really important to attend committee meetings and bring your issues there where they can take them up. What comes up in the boardroom here is really the period at the end of the sentence. But the hard work comes at the committee level. That's where you should bring your issues, items, ideas, comments, because that's where the resolutions evolve from that we vote on in this dais here on this example. And I also want to thank the people who assisted me at the town hall. It was a pretty active one, so I'm going to footnote this by saying, everyone in United, it's very important to have HO6 insurance, which protects you.
Thank you. Ellen?
Okay. I want to actually expand on what Siobhan had said earlier about see something, say something. I saw some things last week about water. Water is the most destructive force on Earth. And this weekend I saw several triangular water caps in driveways that were just oozing out water, and water was flowing. I wondered how many people had called about that. I think it's important that we're alert, and we alert resident services. On weekends, you have to alert security. There was a fire hydrant that was 2 times has been leaking water, and that can lift asphalt. Water can lift asphalt or concrete in a parking lot, and it has lifted the street of Castilla. Okay, there's a big hole there. So I think there should be some investigation on that, but everybody, I want all the residents to be alerted. If you see water, then please report it. Thank you.
Okay, Georgiana?
Yes, I was on the landscape committee for a while. I was on the landscape committee for a while, and that's a big job because United has 1,100 buildings and 236 miles of edging. And while the cost is $65 per month per manor, when you add the ancillary costs such as health care and retirement and stuff like that, it takes it up to $91 a month. So it's sort of an expensive deal. And then plus we have the outside services at $28.81 a month. And so I would just say anyone who has any issues or anything like that, they should call resident services and just realize it is a big job. I think they're maybe going to hire 2 more landscapers, although I really don't think that'll make a dent at this point because we have a lot of buildings and stuff. And anyway, but it's just they've got a lot to do. Thank you.
Tom, do you have a director comment?
Thank you. No comments from me. Thank you, though.
Okay, thank you. We will move now into committee reports. Again, if your committee did not have a meeting in the last 30 days, just pass on. We'll start with finance. We always have a report on finance.
Yes, welcome to the finance world. I've been dreaming and dreaming of numbers every night. Well, not
Yes,
every night.
I'm sure.
Well, it's a busy season, and audit is starting. Tomorrow, GLF audit task force is meeting with our company, and also we need to work on the budget. I will start with the treasurer's report. The slide 1, through the reporting period of December 31, 2023, total revenue for United was $51,917,000 compared to expenses of $54,211,000, resulting in net expense of $2,294,000, which is red, right? And slide 2 shows in finance, we keep a close eye on the operating portion of our financial results. The operating fund without depreciation shows an operating deficit of $651,000 through the reporting period. This chart shows how much of our revenue went into operations, with $23,718,000 coming in from assessments and $1,897,000 coming from non-assessment revenue. And this is compared to operating expenditure of $26,266,000 without depreciation. Next slide, number 3. This chart takes the full income statement and compares those results to budget. We can see that United ended the period worse than budget by $558,000 when combining all funds. Slide 4. The most significant variances from budget were attributable to the following. Number 1, employee compensation, $1,387,000. Its favorable variance resulted primarily in the landscape and maintenance and construction departments due to open positions. Impacted areas include ground maintenance, irrigation, tree maintenance, plumbing, minor alterations, and paint. Recruitment is in progress to fill in current open positions, and grounds maintenance contracted shrub bed maintenance to outside vendors for the pruning weeding cycle as they continue to fill open position. And then second favorable one is investment income, $554,000. This variance resulted from higher rates of return received on Treasury bill and city investments than anticipated at the time of budget preparation. And then fees and changes to residents, $225,000. Favorable variance due to recorded revenue of backlogged damage restoration cases. All cases with determination hearings in 2023 were accrued in 2023. The variance was partially offset by less MNC-related chargeable services in minor alteration and carpentry. There were less asbestos cleanups and less after-the-fact mutual consent permit fines for asbestos cleanups than prior years. Additionally, there were less resident requests for carpentry-related chargeable work than planned. And then in the red area, the unfavorable positions, variances. Number 1 is, of course, insurance. This variance due to higher property insurance premium than anticipated upon renewal on October 1, 23, which was in effect for 3 months of 2023. That's why we are considering to change the effective date, renewal date to June, and we are in the conversation with the insurance and department, so on. And then outside services, which is the most high unfavorable variance, $1,951,000. It's primarily in the maintenance and construction again, and less landscape departments. In MNC, there were more moisture intrusion events caused by rain and plumbing leaks than anticipated at the time of budget preparation. And rainfall was higher in 2023 than its average for the preceding 5 years. And additionally, there were more resident calls for service for general plumbing repairs and maintenances than anticipated at the time of budget preparation. Landscape contracted shrub bed maintenance to outside vendors for the pruning weeding cycle as they continue to fill open position. Let's go to next slide. On this pie chart, we show non-assessment revenues earned to the date of $2,500,000
$592,000. And revenue is organized by category, starting with our largest revenue generating category, fees and charges, 40%, followed by investment income, 27%, and laundry, 9%, lease processing fee, 6%, and resale processing fee, and so on. In slide 6, on this pie chart, we see the expenses to date of $54,210,959 to be exact, showing that our largest categories of expense are for property tax and employee compensation, about same, 26%, followed by outside service, 21%, insurance, 9%, utilities, and so forth. In the upper right corner, we show a breakout of utility categories. Sewer, 1.56 million, and water, 1.9, trash, almost $806,391, electricity and telephone. So water is a big portion, as we discussed this morning. And then let's go to next slide, slide 7. On this chart, we see those same expenses excluding property tax. So employee compensation is top, and then outside services, so on. And then slide 8, our fund balances are shown here. The contingency fund balance on December 31st, 2023 was $1,190,000, and contributions collected totaled $76,000 with no expenditure to date. The reserve fund balance on December 31st was $15,604,000. And contributions and investment revenue collected totaled $12,548,000, while expenditures were $13,654,000. Next slide. We compare this to historical fund balances for the past 5 years on the chart, which have averaged $18.9 million. And next slide, 10, we have a slide here to show resale history from 2021 to 2023 through December 31st to 2023. United resales total 340, which is 71 resales lower than the prior year for the same time period. The average year-to-date resale price for United Mutual Manor was $357,000, which is $1,000 more than the prior year for the same time period. However, good news, as our CEO and also our President Book mentioned, that January sale is up, I believe. So hopefully that we can continue for the upcoming month and throughout the year. I believe this is the end of my treasurer's report. Is there any question?
I just wanted to make a comment. You notice on this slide about reserves, we last year spent $1 million more out of reserves doing capital projects than we contributed to reserves. Mm-hmm. We can't keep that up forever.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
We all know basic arithmetic.
Exactly.
We can't keep spending more than we are contributing. So bear that in mind, folks. Ellen, you have a question for Mickey?
Last year, we calculated $1.1 million for income for the backlog. How much have we collected for the backlog of manor restorations recovered?
Do you have a figure? I don't have on my hand. I mean, I know it's somewhere in my records, but I cannot memorize all the numbers.
Whether I can answer that question for you. So we have billed approximately $576,000. So that was anticipated to be billed in 2024, but they finished up quicker than anticipated, and 90% of it was taken care of in 2023.
So we've received 576, or that's what we billed?
That's what we billed.
So what have we received, do we know?
That I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. So, and some of it is, forgive me, let me clarify. So in terms of an accounting perspective, so you have about 550 to 570 included in your 2023 statements. The dollar amounts haven't actually necessarily been billed, probably about $200,000 to the residents. So, but all the services have been provided, get a little technical. So those bills will go out in January, but the services already have been performed. Therefore, we put it on your books for 2023.
You put it in what year?
Thank you. Yeah, 20.
I'm sorry, what year?
Yes. So,
2023.
Yeah. Oh, good. My question is actual, on the financial report, actual as of December 31st, 2023 was minus $651,000, right? So this year's budget, we are starting with a minus 651. Is that right?
That's correct.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and it's not going to get better.
Right, so our finance departments and some of our, finance committee are having a frequent meeting, how we're going to deal with it. So this is one new budgeting process, what could be the best solution, and we also counsel with our legal counsel, so on. So we are working on it.
Yeah, I know. And without counting minus $651,000 negatives, this year's budget's probably increase.
Assessment, you mean?
Yes, than the year before, wouldn't it?
Are you referring to
this year's budget compared to 2023?
Just to clarify, when we say, in 2024, yes, the 2024's budget is higher than 2023.
Higher, so the difference between 2023 and 2024 would be added to minus 651.
So your 2024 budget will not change. That was approved back in September.
Okay.
So, but what you should anticipate is in 2025, when we start going through that process, we'll be discussing how to make up for the the miss.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so financial as,
We actually have a member comment from Dick Rader on this.
member comment. Well, I haven't finished my report yet.
I think this is regarding the treasurer's report.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you finished, Nikki, or not yet?
Not yet.
Okay, please continue.
Okay.
We'll hold Richard for a moment.
Right, as finance report, we've been mentioning many other items. We endorsed different, committees, landscaping, and also MNC. So we had many issues on the committee, but we had a very good committee meeting on January the 30th, and also we talked about the upcoming audit and budget, just preliminary things. Our finance meeting will meet in March. Next meeting will be March, the last Tuesday of the March again. Again, the resale report, I said we had a little increase this year. And compared to last year, January resale last year is 20, but this year we had already 32 in January. So it's, and also the leasing report. Again, January of 2024, we had 13.1% leased, which is higher numbers. That is my report. This is my completed report. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Dick Rader. Comment from Mr. Rader?
Thank you. I came in late, so I was just looking at the slide, and it appears that there's $558,000 deficit. And I also heard Chairman say that it's only going to get worse, meaning our expenses going forward sounds like they're going to increase. How are we going to deal with this because our budget is fixed?
Well, as Treasurer Choi Ho said, we are dealing with 25 budget. It will be coming up very shortly when we deal with these issues. And we will come up with a variety of alternatives for us. The 2024 budget is set. We will be spending the money as we have agreed upon and as members have been notified to do, that we are doing. So we're not cutting back on the essential services that we've agreed to fund. So you don't need to worry about that occurring. What we are looking for are alternatives for the 2025 budget, as well as any current savings that might come our way that would not negatively affect maintenance and services. So,
Right. My question, though, if I may, was really relating to the 24, where the
Yeah, I
budget is
understand.
fixed.
Yeah.
I wonder where the additional funds will come from for us for 24.
well, of course, we have contingency and we have reserves and funds. And so, we obviously cannot use those except for their dedicated purposes. So we will look for other alternatives. For example, we just a few minutes ago passed a hike in the resale fees that will be charged that will bring us perhaps $78,000 more in revenue this year. And if you looked at the pie chart that Treasurer Choi Ho produced, you will see that fees like that are a significant source of income. So we can continue to look at those. Mickey, what else?
And also, we are considering insurance issue too.
Insurance
If
as
we
well.
could save a large sum of money, it would be very, very helpful. So we are looking every avenue of the fund that we could bring into, hopefully. And we are looking at the 2015 budget because, assessment, last year we had a very low assessment and even reduced it. So it will, some of the impact, we are dealing with it now. So yes, we want to cut down the cost as much as we can and reduce the assessment fee as much as we can to save our residents pocket money. However, we need to deal with those practical issues. So we try to maintain the maximum service, maintain it, and yet we will find every avenue. So staff and our finance committees, we are working very, very hard. So we all need your support and help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Thank you very much, Mickey. That was very comprehensive and understandable at the same time. Okay, architectural controls. Anthony.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We had our monthly meeting on January 18th. There were no requests for variances, but Mejia and his staff are going over the architectural control standards. There's 44 up in there, and they're working very hard on that. And our next meeting is the 15th at 9:30 here in the boardroom, and everybody's invited. Thank you.
Nancy, member hearings?
Yes, for those who don't know, member hearings, we conduct them every other week. They run from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Maggie Pearl and I adjudicate those hearings, and effectively we're looking at principally, 99% of it is, collecting money that's already been expended by the mutual to fix things in residence matters. So we're endeavoring to get those funds as reimbursements. That's principally what it's about. And I've already spoken earlier today about the importance of having appropriate fees for the staff time, because during the member hearings, we have 4 staff usually there, and we do not charge cart costs, if you were to say that in civil terms. So there's nothing more for me to report because the hearings are confidential.
Go Ducks, Maggie.
Okay, we met on January 18th, and we discussed the financial requirements. We made some changes to the financial requirements, wording, and so on, some minor Scribner changes to our escrow packages. We also discussed the operating rules guidebook that's on the website, and we're going to include some minor changes in the operating rules guidebook. The committee will continue to review the operating rules guidebook and continue with those. We will check out the schedule of monetary penalties and see if those should be increased, and we'll go over the committee charter. That's this Thursday, February 15th at 1:30. And everybody is welcome. Thank you.
Sue, landscaping?
Landscaping, yes, you heard the majority of our work here in the various resolutions that passed. Kurt and his staff and our committee spent a lot of time looking at the project logs, of which there are many activities to be performed. On the water use comparison graph, we've gone down year after year after year significantly, and that is going to be a big issue for us in the future. So please come to our committee meeting, and that is my report. That meets on January 22nd at 1:30.
Okay, maintenance and construction, Pearl?
Oh, I'm sorry, February 26th. I'll get the date right yet.
Okay. Pearl, maintenance and construction? Yeah. Uh-huh.
On the MMC?
Yes, M&C, please. Do you want us to, we'll move on, we can come back to you if. Okay, all right, we'll move on to resident advisory, Tony?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We had our meeting. It's the second Thursday of every month, and our next meeting is on March 14th, and it's in the Elm Room. It's at 4 p.m., and if you have some issues that you want to talk about, please come. Thank you.
GRF committee highlights, GRF finance, Mickey?
Oh, yes. We did not meet this month yet.
Okay.
Next meeting is February 21, 1:30 p.m. Here. Thank you.
CAC, Ellen?
I think that Siobhan took away my thunder about the Clubhouse 1, but the pool is closed at Clubhouse 1 and will remain closed. The renovations there will start on March 7th, and we had a huge turnout at CAC, and it was pickleball players. And the pickleball players would like to build more pickleball courts, and they are looking for land to do this. So we're going to create an ad hoc committee to see what there is available for that. We had some requests for policy for flyers and club flyers and club events at the PAC, and it was denied until further investigation. And I think that's it. Our meeting is the second Thursday of every month, and the next meeting should be March 14th at 1:30 here in the boardroom.
Thank you. Sue, it looks like GRF hasn't met, the GRF landscape hasn't met for a while, right?
No, but
Okay.
please come tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you. Likewise, my two GRF committees, M&C, did meet, but I've been previously advised about that, and the other clubhouse ad hoc, too, you've been previously advised on that one. Space planning, Nancy, is the next GRF report.
Yes, as we saw today, GRF is a good portion of the money that we give them for managing our facilities and amenities. And one of the items, of course, has been the subject of the Building E, which was where security was formerly housed. We had some reports that we reviewed to the committee that we hadn't seen before. The big focus is in the upcoming meeting, which will be March 6th, is trying to utilize the existing space within our campus, and particularly in this building. Our space utilization studies and our consultants all identify that that can be the solution. We presently had, our GRF presently budgeted $7 million for a new building, and we are not seeing that is necessary. We would have to redo some things in this building, so that's an important meeting coming up. And appreciate member support in what our goal is, which also includes a financial realization that presently we are housing security in a professional office building adjacent to this one, and it's costing us $230,000 a year for approximately 15 people over there. So we took a 2-year lease. I don't know who did that, but made that decision. No harm, no foul. At this point, we're trying to get ourselves, what can we get out of that? Where can we put these people to save you money? And overall, not have a huge capital expenditure, which we're talking about our deficits and using reserves right now. We can certainly use that money. So that next meeting is March 6th.
Okay, media and communications, Sue?
It's going to meet again in April 15th, 2024.
Okay.
I was there. They had 20 communications to residents from that section. So we have 20 communications with residents. All of these things, a message board, the breeze, emails, special news emails, digital, Facebook posting, weekly press, all of these things, literature racks, a village television, YouTube channel, all of these 20 steps in outreach are done every month from that committee. The website ad hoc committee is still at work. They're going to review the committee charter at the next meeting, and the PC Club is holding classes on how to use village apps and the website. Director Cook recommended encouraging residents, any resident who has not been to a new resident orientation may go to a resident orientation. All you have to do is call up and reserve your spot, and that's a really good idea for everybody. The date of the next meeting is April 15th at 1:30. Thank you.
Okay, mobility and vehicles, Nancy?
Yes, Chair. The mobility and vehicles, at the last meeting, we addressed specifications for vehicles. There was a little shift in the focus on trying to talk about the cost of those vehicles, but technically we were limited to approving specifications for particular vehicles and not the cost of them. Although we made our point clear, we want economical vehicles and them to take a hard look at, for moving into 2025 budgeting, the nature of the vehicles that we select and options to the efficiency of vehicles. And we also raised the point that members have made about the number of security vehicles that are sitting in our parking lot. And we didn't get I don't think, a concrete answer about it, but we certainly raised awareness about it and that we're considering that, what we're looking at when they are asking us for new vehicles. We want to make sure that what we pay for is being utilized and that we are buying efficiently, whether it's a car or it's a golf cart, that can serve the right purpose for the right task.
Okay.
The next meeting is May 1st, 2024.
Security and community access, Maggie?
Okay. We met October 25th So that was a while ago. We had,
You've reported on that
yes,
previously.
before. So we have the gate entry for Gate 12 is still an issue, and traffic has still been an issue. So we are meeting again, to be determined at 1:30.
Okay. All right. Traffic? Okay. Disaster prep, Tony?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We had our meeting, our regular meeting, and I'd like to invite people to come to this meeting that's coming up, which will be on March 26th at 9:30 here in the room. And like to remind people, if they're paying attention, there's been some little earthquakes around here in the LA area, so make sure you have some water and some dry food and some canned goods. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Okay. IT, Sue? Anything
The
from ITAC?
staff continues to work on our enterprise resource planning, which is a software system that helps you run your entire business. They're making progress. It's a huge effort. It supports the automation and processes in finance, human resources, manufacturing, supply chains, procurement, and more. So we continue to work.
Okay. All right, thank you all. Future agenda items, we will have, of course, we have some items out on 28-day review that we'll be looking at next month. Another couple of items, of course, the 2025 budget looms large in our futures, our near futures, and we'll all be very busy on that one. There's another item on here, and that is Robert's Rules of Order. We try to maintain our adherence to that, and we have had a thought that perhaps we would benefit from having the services of a parliamentarian, professional parliamentarian, sit with us at one of our board meetings and help us stay adherent to Robert's rules. And so it's something more that we will talk about this afternoon, about the possibility of doing that. And of course, the standard operating procedures of Robert's Rules is to move meetings along efficiently, make sure everybody is heard, make sure that there's a fair and balanced discussion, presentation of information, so that wise decisions are made. So we'll talk about that later on today. And at this point, I think we are ready for some lunch. Ellen?
Yes, I don't see anything on here about the laundry room outsourcing. I think we talked about that at the agenda prep.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And weren't we going to put that on the agenda?
We can certainly see about that this afternoon when we talk, because that's going to be something that is going to involve some staff expenditure and staff work. So we'll talk about it this afternoon, okay?
Okay.
All right. And with that, we will recess and resume at 12:35. Thank you. Do I need a motion?